If you're asking yourself the question of, should I get this MacBook in 2024? I'm going to just say off bat, yes, you should get this MacBook in 2024. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your favorite tech cousin, BZ, aka BZB, aka Work From Home BZ, and we are back with another video. Hey, y'all, guess what? I got the MacBook M2, the MacBook Air M, the Air MacBook M, the MacBook, the one with the Mac. It's a 15-inch MacBook Air. Okay, that's what I got. I got the M2 MacBook Air, 1 terabyte of hard drive space, SSD, and 16 gigs of RAM. Today, I want to go over 3 reasons why I love this MacBook. If you're asking yourself the question of, should I get this MacBook in 2024? I'm gonna just say off bat, yes, you should get this MacBook in 2024. All right. The number one reason why I like it is because of how big the screen is. We got a 15-inch MacBook Air. Like, that's unheard of. You know, I remember my wife getting a 16-inch MacBook Pro, and that thing was heavy. Okay, that one, I believe that one was a terabyte of SSD and also 16 gigs of RAM. I believe I was the one that consulted her on that purchase. It's not surprising, right? When I was going through, should I get the M3 at the time? Because they have an M4 now that they just announced. So many M's is crazy. I sound like a rapper a little bit. So many M's is crazy. Yeah, something like that. But anyway, so they had the M3, and I was like, man, do I want the 14-inch or do I think they got the 16-inch if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? I was looking at it, and when it comes down to if you're exporting, because I do a lot of video editing, right? So if you're exporting a file and it takes, let's say the M3 takes, 30 seconds versus the M2 MacBook Air takes 45 seconds. It's not that much of a difference. You know what I'm saying? That's not enough to pay a whole $1,000 more, or $800 more, $500 more. I really want it to be able to be portable, So I love that I get such a big screen, and I love that it's still lighter than the MacBook Pros, and I can still do all of my things, Logic, Final Cut, Premiere, Lightroom, all of those things, right? So I could do that with no problem. The second thing I love is how fast it is. This thing is blazing fast. I always do, like I said, I'm a video editor, and I do a lot of editing shorts. So clips that are, let's say, a minute 30, takes like 10 seconds to export, which is like unheard of. I had a MacBook Air previously. It was a 2020 model. It was the M1, and it had 8 gigs of RAM. And I was like, man, on my next computer, I definitely want 16 gigs of RAM at least. Like, that is non-negotiable. And so I got it, and I can really tell the difference for sure. If you can splurge, get extra RAM, get at least 16 gigs of RAM. These computers really should be coming with at least 16 gigs of RAM. That's a new baseline, especially we doing all this 4K, we're doing all this like full HD, and we are taking up a lot of memory, so and also, if you don't know what RAM is, just imagine a whiteboard. So if you have, let's say you have 8 gigs of RAM, you have a smaller whiteboard. You have 16 gigs of RAM, you have a bigger whiteboard. So you can store more stuff on the whiteboard, and you don't have to erase. You don't have to keep erasing. You can just keep writing. So some people, they get 32 gigs of RAM, big whiteboard, 64 gigs of RAM, huge whiteboard, So it just allows your programs to run a lot more seamlessly, a lot faster, The third thing that I love about it, I love how solid it feels physically, and just going through a lot of different apps that I'm using. I don't feel like when I'm in Lightroom that I get the beach ball all the time. When I'm doing a lot, I know that it can handle it. But also physically, I love that it literally feels solid. Like the keyboard, the screen, how hefty it feels. It doesn't feel light, which would be a con for some people. But I don't want my computer to feel like I could just throw it in the air like a piece of dough. You know, I don't want that, you know. So yeah, for sure, I love how solid it feels. And I'm going to give you a bonus one. 4 is the battery life. The battery life is really amazing. I remember I was editing videos, and I mean, I probably edited 15-20 Instagram shorts, and my battery still was at like 85%. And I was like, what? And usually it's not the making the video, it's not adding the assets, everything like that. It's exporting takes a lot of battery power, especially if you're not on the charger. It takes a lot of battery power away from the laptop, and the fact that it was still like 85%, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So if you are thinking about getting a M4 or M3, consider the M2. To be honest, I couldn't really tell the difference between the M1 and the M2, you know. If you coming, but I will tell you, if you coming from an Intel MacBook, and if you don't know what Intel is, if you got your computer 10 years ago, you're on an Intel one, and you're always getting that beach ball, that spinny beach ball, then yeah, you will definitely notice the difference between the even coming to an M1, you'll notice the difference. The M2s and M3s and M4s, to me, it's like incrementally better.
Balsamic vinegar,
tomato paste.
That's a big word for Elmo.
But as long as you got an M something, then you in the right ballpark, all right? So thank you for watching another video. If you decide that you really like my content, please do think about subscribing, liking, sharing. Anybody that's in the market for a laptop, please share this with them and let them know that they should get an M2 MacBook Air. Don't skip out on that on the RAM though. Try to get 16 gigs if you can. Even if you do 512 gigabytes of storage, because you can get an SSD. I don't necessarily like editing off of an SSD or working off of an SSD. That's why I got 1 terabyte. But get the 512 and then get 16 gigs of RAM. I'm trying to tell you. I'm shaking the camera right now. Get at least 16 gigabytes of RAM for sure. But we'll see you in the next video. I hope you found it helpful. Beezy out.